writer for The Athletic. I'm with my co-host, Eric O'Flaherty. What's up, Eric?
What's up, Dave?
It's 7:55 is real, presented by Topps. Check out Topps Project 70, celebrating the 70 years of Topps baseball cards. You got to be a badass show to be sponsored by Topps, by the way. I was told that. Only the best.
Only the big dogs.
Only the big dogs. Topps don't mess with the runt shows, man. They're looking at our numbers, our audience, our savvy baseball intensive audience, and they said we want to be a part of that. So glad to have you, Topps. Get your go out and buy your Topps baseball cards. Did you used to get those, Eric? Are you old enough to have grown up
Oh yeah,
baseball cards?
yeah. We had them all.
God, man, that was like
We'd buy the whole
day of my
case.
childhood, you know?
Yeah, I'd save up all my paper route money and buy one of those whole cases.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you had money then. If you could buy a whole case, you were special. I could never buy a whole case. I was little packs.
Paper route, man. That was a hustle when you were a kid.
Yep. You were probably one of those that when you went across the bridge threw about 150 of the papers into the river, huh?
No, I would smoke some screen doors though.
I only say that. I only say that because I did that.
I would just light
I
up
was a
some
bad
screen
kid,
doors,
man.
kind of being a little dickhead kid.
Oh, dude, I bet you could do some damage.
Yep, they'll drive by.
Put a big dent in those metal screen
Yeah.
doors.
Then I couldn't figure out why nobody was tipping me.
Startle the hell out of the people living there. I think it was a gunshot. You didn't care.
I think about it as an adult now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man,
How pissed off you would have been if you'd have been in the house.
I should have got my
Somebody
ass kicked. Yeah.
Throwing your paper at the front door.
Those screen doors used to have like a big metal plate at the bottom. And that was the target.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were loud, man. All right. Well, listen. A lot's happening in this last 3 days. I mean, it's you don't want to exaggerate and say that, the whole season turned, but man, with that game Saturday night when they overcame 3 deficits, including that ridiculous 4-run 12th after they overcame a 3-run deficit again, that's the kind of thing that can turn a season, is it not?
That's what I was thinking when they did it. I thought that was a momentum builder. That's that big win that you're kind of not expecting to get. And it's the same thing. Losing another one of those would have hurt really bad.
Yeah.
But coming back multiple times was the first time this year that I looked at them. I was like, that's the team, that's who you watched all year last year do those things over and over and over again. And they looked like them again.
It's funny because they hadn't done that all this year. And it was almost like they were making up for lost time in one night by doing it like 3 times. I mean, that's the kind of thing we saw all the time last year, but that was like that on steroids. I mean, that was ridiculous. Beginning, of course, with Pablo. We'll get to that in a minute. Kung Fu Panda. He's just ridiculous. But and then to not only that, but to build off of it by coming back with a game on Sunday Night Baseball, another really nice game. Ynoa, just another gem. And to have Freddie homers in back-to-back, you can't overstate how important that is, and he's hitting the ball the other way. He had 3 hits. A lot of good things to be if you're a Braves fan, to be looking up about, especially on the same day that they signed Shane Greene. We'll get to all that. First, I wanted to ask you, there have been 4 no-hitters already. That's not even counting Madison Bumgarner's 7-inning no-hitter, which is not officially a no-hitter. That's almost as crazy to me that you've already got 4 no-hitters before the middle of May, as Pablo Sandoval having 4 multi-run pinch hit homers, which is absolutely insane. But 4 no-hitters, and it comes at a time when batting averages are like lower than ever, but ERAs are not lower. Explain, Eric, why that can be.
Well, I think walks are still up.
Yeah,
I think I don't have any stats I'm gauging this on, but just watching the games, I feel like I see a lot of walks, and you're still seeing homers when they make mistakes.
No doubt.
So, I don't want to be, everybody's ripping on the hitters for, shorten up and go the other way, or they're facing some of the nastiest stuff they've ever faced.
Yeah.
And I know they updated the ball this year. It's a lighter ball, so pitchers can throw it harder, and they put bigger seams on it. And that was the one thing I noticed when I really started struggling around 2015, when they started tinkering with the balls. Mm-hmm. They were a lot harder to grip, which is, why a lot of guys were going to the pine tar and extra substances. But if you think about it, a lighter ball and better seams is going to make for better breaking balls. So you're going to see a lot more strikeouts. And then you compound that with the defensive positioning now. I mean, how often when you watch a
Yeah.
game do you see a line drive up the middle
Yeah.
and there's somebody standing there? You
Dansby
know,
does it like twice a game at least.
yep. And so the defensive positioning for me is why you see so many no hitters. Almost strictly that, along with, maybe there is a flaw in the approach of the hitters, and the pitchers are pretty nasty now too.
I think I agree with you. I mean, who might have said, but you certainly have been there, but I agree it's the shifts more than anything, but also the launch angle obsession. There,
Mm-hmm.
so many hitters, not all of them, not a lot of the good hitters are not like this, but so many hitters are now one plane with the launch angle, one swing, and they don't adjust to the pitcher, or the situation. Like you just said, they don't choke up, go the other way, they don't shorten up, whatever. But they don't even change. If they got a guy that throws 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and throws like 60% fastballs to a guy throwing junk the next day, they don't even change the launch angle. It's still that same launch angle. And if you look, the guys that have thrown the no hitters this year, it's not the dominant guys like the Garrett Coles. It's not the guys like even DeGrom hasn't thrown a no hitter. It's the guys like this year
John
that
Means,
have
Miley.
Bumgarner, Means, Miley, and those are guys that throw more off-speed stuff than any of these dominant guys. So, I mean, a guy like Bumgarner, for instance, how can he throw a no-hitter and DeGrom doesn't? Well, that launch angle thing, I think, is when they can't. The launch angle does not combat, or it doesn't have an answer for these off-speed pitches that some of these old school guys are throwing off-speed and so many breaking balls.
Yeah, I think there's more ride on the ball too. With better seams, it's going to have that little bit extra climb on it when it's spinning through. Don Mattingly had a good quote the other day, just talking about the game's turning into a showcase where you can go 0 for 4, and if your exit velo was a certain number, I mean, you're getting patted on the back and say, way to hit the ball hard. And there's some truth to that. I mean, as a pitcher, if you break 3 bats and give up a run, you got to know how to evaluate yourself aside from your results.
Yeah.
But when you watch the games, I see games and I see a guy come up, runner on second, tie game, and he's trying to hit a 2-run homer.
Yeah.
You don't see guys trying to flip balls the other way. Freddie's a guy that I've seen continue to do it through everything, and that's why he's continued to hit. But I mean, it is shocking to see, when I'm making the statement about pitchers are throwing harder than ever and it's harder to hit than ever, that the guys throwing the no hitters are lefties throwing 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of defeats that argument. And that's the argument I see a lot is people online saying, they'll do quotes and maybe like a SpongeBob gif of something looking stupid and say, just shorten up and hit the ball the other way. And they'll show a pitcher throwing 99 with 4 feet of sink, but that's not who's throwing the no hitter. I mean, the no hitter was Bumgarner, lefty, throwing 90, Miley throwing 90, and Means throwing 90 with a good changeup and breaking ball. So kind of kills that argument. I think it's definitely a flaw in the approach combined with the defense.
I mean, with that launch angle swing, the guys that are just locked into that, obsessed with that, if a pitcher knows how to exploit that and has the location to exploit that, throws you hard inside, you can't really do much with that launch angle swing, can you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's
high and in
I don't like calling it.
though?
I don't like calling it a launch angle swing, because a launch angle
uppercut swing, I should say.
Guys are trying to hit the ball in the air, and I think though that's their it's kind of a cat and mouse between, if you're going to position your fielders perfectly,
right,
they feel like their best odd to get a hit is to hit it over the defense. You can't defend the homer, and I understand it'd be extremely frustrating if you're a hitter hitting line drives up the middle, and
like Freddie,
you got some MIT grad, crunching all the numbers. He knows exactly where you're most likely to hit it. And you keep getting out on those balls. So I think a lot of guys have just adopted that mindset that hitting the ball hard in the air is your best chance to get a hit, but you're also going to see a lot of games like we're seeing. And then the ball, if the ball has more traction when it's spinning through, it's going to break harder. So I don't think they're adjusting to the breaking stuff, combined with the ball's not going as far. Because when it has bigger seams, it's going to hang up in there and it's not going to travel as far. So it's harder to hit a home run now.
Which is what makes Ronald Acuna's season even more impressive. He's bucking all the trends. His strikeout rate is down. He hits the ball harder than almost anybody in baseball. He weighs 20, 30 pounds less than most of the power hitters that put up his kind of numbers. I mean, he's just a freak, man. This guy is so special. I hope people realize how special he is, because we're not likely to see the likes of him again.
No, and that's,
For
I
a
mean,
long
if you want
time.
to segue into why he keeps getting hit,
Yeah.
because there's nowhere to go. There's like the guy that hit him the other day threw him a slider on the black, right? A good pitch the last time he faced him. Coonrod, I think.
Yeah.
Coonrod. He threw him a slider on the black in their last matchup, and Acuna hit it out to dead center. Yeah. And Acuna's hit balls, if you've watched, he's hit balls this far off the plate. You know, I mean, 2 inches off the plate away, and he's hitting them out. So you have to pitch him in. And why he covers away so well is because he dives and covers it. Right. So it's like there's just nowhere to go against the guy.
I saw somebody put up Chipper's all-time hit by pitches and compared them how Acuna's already got more and everything. Like, that's apples and oranges. Look what Chipper stood. He's a switch hitter, and look where he stood from the plate. So why are you even comparing him? You know, look where Acuna stands with that elbow guard on. Yeah. That's why Acuna has the elbow guard. He's not going to change his approach. He's going to get in there because that's what he does.
Yeah.
And if you don't pitch him inside, like you said,
you're hopeless.
He covers the whole plate. He can hit the ball out to any part of any ballpark in the world. You know, if you're not pitching him inside, you kind of try to get him off the plate and keep him diving. You're
Every single pitcher's meeting is we have to make this guy conscious of the inside fastball. And, you know, that's going to be your approach, is to throw him in. And, you know, he doesn't do himself favors because he shows his frustration. If the ball's even a quarter inch in off the plate, he's glaring out at the pitcher.
Right.
So he shows that affects him, and they're going to keep doing that as long as he's doing that. But regardless, even if he doesn't, they're coming in because you have to open up that outside corner. Because if you pitch him away, I mean, he gets extended, it's gone. So there's no solution on the Braves' part or even on his part, because that's just his hitting style, other than like they did yesterday, and they just smoked Real Muto in the first inning. You know, if you hit our guy, we hit yours. And that can kind of go around the clubhouse. Like, look, we got to pitch this guy in, but if you hit him, they're going to hit us. So
even though the Braves knew that Coonrod wasn't throwing at him, trying to hit him.
Yeah.
That's why they understood the next day we got to send a message, but you don't retaliate that day. You don't, and that's why nobody came pouring out on the field when he got hit, like that time when the Marlins guy hit him. That was obvious. There was Urena. Urena was throwing at him, and it was obvious because they were pissed off because he had led off like 3 straight games with home runs. And he just threw at him on the first pitch of the game, the hardest pitch Urena had ever thrown, if I remember correctly. There's a difference, and people don't, I understand fans get upset about it because he's their guy. This is their superstar, and you could end his season at any time.
Almost did.
But players know the difference, and that's why they came pouring out on the field and yelling from the dugout when he got hit that time, and not this time. And that's why Snit ran on the field and tried to fight the opposing pitcher, that time, but not this time, because they know they're not throwing at it. You can get upset, but you got to be rational about it and go, in that situation, they're not trying to put Acuna on, hit him with a pitch, and bring Freddie Freeman up.
No, the fastest guy on the team. You're not putting him on first on purpose.
Sense. They're trying to win the game now. They're not trying to hurt Acuna more than they're trying to win a game.
Yeah, and people want to spin it into Snit not supporting him or not having his back, but
total bullshit. He loves
that's bullshit.
He loves the kid.
He's his best player.
He cries talking about him sometimes. He loves him.
He's his best player, and there's just a time and a place to retaliate, and think about
yesterday.
Well, then just think about what that win meant to the team. Think about what that could be a turning point in the whole season. And if you lose that game throwing at guys trying to prove a point, then they win the next day, and now they might be rolling. So there's just a time and a place to do it, and they picked the perfect time. Real Muto understand. I mean, that whole thing went down perfectly. He wore one. He jogged the first. Nothing happened. It's over.
The umpire did not give warnings because the umpire was good. He wasn't some young guy that's trying to take over the game and immediately gave warnings to each bench. Would have screwed up the whole game. Yeah,
and if it's a reliever that comes in, say Matzik or even Will Smith comes in and drills somebody that night and gets suspended, then you lose your closer or your setup man. It's just a time and a place, and I understand people's frustrations because he gets hit all the time, but he's going to keep getting hit. And the one thing he can do is just be better about getting out of the way or turning his shoulder, turning
his shoulder inward. That's what Freddie McGriff showed me that Freddie Freeman used to not do. And Freddie used to always get hit in the hands and the wrists. He had some bad injuries, 2 of them.
Yep.
One that he missed half a season for when he was off to an MVP start. He missed 2 months with. But Freddie used to not move it. do the same thing. Go like that, instead of going like this. And Fred
Yeah.
McGriff said Freddie needs to learn. It's hard to do because instincts take over and you're just trying to get out of the way. But he said if you just learn to duck your shoulder, then you're going to get it in the shoulder or the back, but not in
Bounces
the
off.
face, not in
Yeah.
the face and the hands and wrists.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a lot harder to do than we're talking about, but
Yeah. And it happens fast.
and Freddie hasn't been hitting the hands and wrists as much anymore either. And,
Yeah.
and there are times he does it, but yeah, it happens so fast. The guy's throwing 99, or hit the other day was 97. But just one other thing on launch angle. I heard somebody pointed out today, I think it was MLB Network, on how Hader has the perfect fastball for the stand. Because he's coming from down under and it's going up a little bit. He's coming from the side or the under, upward 99 heat, and a guy swinging uppercut. So it's like the intersection is so minimal.
Yeah.
And he's given up like 2 hits on his fastball all year.
Yeah. And his fastball, I don't have any numbers to confirm this, but I'm a big believer that the ball is changing the ride on the fastball. If you look at Kimbrel, that's what he lives off, is that ride, that low arm slot, pitching up in the zone and throwing his breaking ball off of it. And he's having a huge comeback year. Guys that have that naturally just got it enhanced by the ball.
Yeah, you can't argue with the results because he's doing it after 2 pretty bad years. Kimbrel looks like almost like the old guy now.
Yeah. And that's how stupid baseball is, man. Just one little detail can change and all of a sudden your lights out again.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was Acuna and the people that are talking about how, every time, like Pache right now, he looks overmatched at the plate. I mean, he looks almost hopeless at the plate. He can bunt, but like right now, that's his only hit tool, which is the bunt and drawing walks. But people say, can you move Acuna to center and move Riley to right, or bring Arcia up, put Arcia in at third and Riley in right and Acuna in center? There's a reason why we've talked about Acuna. You look at the season Acuna's having in right field, not having to play center.
Mm-hmm.
People underestimate the toll that center field takes, both on the legs, because he's stealing again. He's up to like 28 steals on pace now for 28 steals, like 47 homers. The legs in a game, but also the injury toll. You're so much more susceptible to hamstring, quad, all these injuries when you're running and covering and backing up the left fielder and the right fielder. You're going back and forth and banging against walls and diving. I mean, and to that end, we've talked about it, but there was a fascinating MLB Network put up did a chart today. I think it was their preseason top 10 center fielders before the season. They listed their top 10 center fielders. 9 of them have been are either on the injured list right now or have already been on the injured list or missed at least 7 games. And Laureano was out Sunday. He might be out a little longer. 9 of the 10. The only one that has not missed time right so far, Trout. And with him, it's almost always a matter of time.
Superhuman.
Yeah, but he always has something either gets hit or bangs in a wall. But that's crazy, man. I mean, you're talking about some great players too, especially like Springer had the quad thing, was on the IL. Bellinger was a tibia. Byron Buxton, who you could argue has been as good a player as anybody in the majors this year. You see him going, I mean, he can fly.
That's his rap. He can't stay healthy.
You see him going gap to gap and diving, and he can fly. So that as long as he's in center field, that guy's not going to be able to stay healthy for a whole year, playing the way he does. Banging against walls, jumping up, stealing home runs. And yeah, you love it when he stays healthy, but man, he'd be better off from one of the corners with that bat he's got now, because he wasn't hitting before, but he is raking now. But
anyway, I think that's the thing you want to avoid with the Braves too, is you don't want Acuna to turn into Andrew Jones. No. I mean, people still talk about Andrew Jones and all the ground he covered, but you look at the second half of his career, once that toll caught up with his legs, man, he just wasn't the same guy. Look at Michael Bourne after he left the Braves. He barely played.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many more plays backing up. You got to back up ground balls to second base, shortstop, fly balls to left, fly balls to right. You're involved in more balls that you're chasing. When you're in right field, it's just a default rest for your legs. I mean, the last thing you want to see is Acuna burn out.
Yeah.
Or have a bunch of mileage and injuries catch up with him in his 30s, when he's got a chance to put up some ridiculous numbers, Hall of Fame stuff.
Yeah. And his arm plays so well in right field too. I mean, he just shuts down those guys going first to third. If they don't know by now, then he throws them out and they learn quick. I mean, he's got a cannon in right field. But yeah, that's why they don't want to do it. They love what he's able to do and how he's able to stay healthy with the legs and all that, playing right field. And so I would look, even Pache keeps struggling. I think once Guillermo Heredia is healthy again, you'll see him out there. And also Ender Inciarte is starting to hit at AAA. People forget. I know we all bash on Ender because he's been pretty bad the last couple of years, but he's been getting a hit or two a game up in Gwinnett. So, and he was hitting right before he got hurt. He was actually playing well right before he got hurt. Had a couple doubles, got hurt going first to third. He just can't stay healthy, quads and hamstrings and back, but
there's your point right there.
Yeah. Look how long it took for him. He was off to a pretty solid start for a career for 5 or 7 years. Now he can't stay healthy. He hasn't done anything the last 2 years. So there are exceptions. Obviously people point to the Willie Mays and stuff, but I mean, games changed, guys have changed, athletes have changed, but it's there's a lot more that get hurt, and there's a reason why they end up in right field, even most of the ones that start out in center, or right field or left field. Pache looks overmatched. Contreras is hitting, but behind the plate, we're seeing why the benefit of having a veteran back there. I mean, Contreras had, he made up for it the other day because he had 2 errors in the late innings. He had interference and that drop ball, but and then he had the bases clearing double, which made amends for all the other stuff. But he's made some mistakes back there, and he's also one of the guys that's going to the one knee, and I don't think he's perfected that yet. So some balls are getting away from him, but you live with it until you got other options. But you could tell the difference. Yeah.
Well, I did see Rio Muto talking about how much it saves his legs going on one knee. I mean, I really hadn't considered that because I'm just watching the game. I'm watching balls that should be blocked and they can't get to them. And people are really harping on that. I don't like it because I feel like you can have all the numbers that back up how many more strikes you get out of it, or not. But when you have a pass ball cost you the game, like that right there for me is like, you can't do it, but.
Is he saying that he can catch more because of that then?
He says he just feels, saving his legs. He feels better. It makes just a drastic difference in how his body feels by not squatting the whole game.
So maybe he can catch 6 out of 7 games instead of 4 out of 5 or whatever.
Which would have been, for a player like BMAC that was riding hard. I mean, he was playing every day anyway. He was playing. I mean, he'd barely take day games off. A guy like that, I mean, it can make a difference in his whole career. So, I mean, that's an argument for it that I haven't thought about, but. When you watch the games and they can't get to balls they need to block with the game on the line, man. I mean, it's almost like I wish, if there's runners on or something going on, maybe switch to 2 and make sure you keep that ball in front of you.
It's funny, you saw 38-year-old Matheson there that he didn't do it because he's not going to change at this point of his career.
No. And that's where his value's at.
Yeah. Hey, let's pay for some, let's make some money here on some ads. Cam, what do you got, man?
Yeah, let's rake in the dough. Obviously, our presenting sponsor is Topps. Make sure to visit Topps.com and Topps Project 70, where Topps is celebrating the 70th anniversary of its very first baseball card design. Founded in 1938 as a chewing card company, Topps released the first baseball card set in 1951. Now, 7 decades later, Topps has teamed up with 51 artists and creatives from around the globe to revisit and reimagine 70 years of Topps' most iconic baseball card designs through a year-long program called Project 70. Project 70 also pits some of the Topps partners and puts them together with creatives like Snoop Dogg's, Action Bronson, Jeff Staples, and so many other individuals. Have you ever wanted to know what Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle would look like in a 1980s Topps design, or how Fernando Tatis Jr. would look at a classic template from the 50s? Now you can. New cards launch daily. They're up for 70 hours before they're gone for good. There are rainbow foil editions numbered 1 to 70. They're randomly inserted. And there's also a 1-of-1 gold frame edition. And as well, there's an artist proof edition numbered 251 featuring a silver frame. Those are available for purchase for every card. But hurry All these cards sell out quickly. So head over to Topps.com to learn more about Project 70 and to check out which cards are live right now. Hey, and guess what? As we all know, baseball is in full swings. It's great to have the game back, America's pastime. And let's celebrate the return of America's pastime with The Athletic and BetMGM as they look to bring you closer to the game. If you bet $1, you can win $100 plus get a free year of The Athletic. You heard that right. Place any $1 bet. You get the full year of The Athletic plus $100 from BetMGM when you win. Great sports writing, extra dollars in your pocket, a total win-win. Take advantage of this offer from The Athletic and BetMGM. Go to betmgm.com/athleticmlb. Again, betmgm.com/athleticmlb. Bet $1, you win 100, plus get a free year of The Athletic. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions.
Wow, free year, man. Free year of The Athletic. The Athletic, I don't know if you guys have read it. It is fantastic. It's good stuff, man. It's just my opinion, but hey, I'm glad that ad was so long, dude. I was like able to warm up a mug of coffee and use the restroom.
I felt like it was 2 minutes. Were you able to really do all that in like 2 minutes?
Yes. Yes. I did all that.
Wow.
Now I'm back.
Faster than I thought you were at your age.
Oh, wow. Let's get into what happened this weekend for the Braves. They played a dog of a game Friday night in front of the biggest crowd of the year in MLB because it was the first game with 100% capacity. The Braves are the first team to do that other than Rangers, who are horseshit teams, so nobody's going to their games. But Braves get 39,000 for the first game and played horrible. I mean, that first inning was 6 runs. As Snit said, it felt like the last time we played in front of a packed house series, referring to Game 5 of the 2019 division series against Cardinals when they gave up 10 runs on Fulte and Freeman in the first inning. So, but it had that feel to it, man. I was there and it just felt, I was there for both, but it just felt dead. It was like, I felt bad for the Braves because the place was packed. People wanted so bad to cheer.
Yeah.
And before they could even find their seats, practically it was over. But they came back from that to play their best game of the year so far.
Best game of the year. Yeah.
And come back from multi-run deficits 3 times. I mean, it was riveting to see Kung Fu Panda, Pablo Sandoval, come up with 2 out in the 9th, down 3-1. We've already seen him do it 3 times. You're going, there's no way the guy can do it again. There's no way. Boom. Full count. Fastball. Ahira Adrianza told, he was on first base. He told Eric Young, if he throws him another fastball, he's going to hit it out. 3-2. He hits it out. The place went bananas. He ties it up, sends it to extra innings. And then in extra innings, they have one of those horrible innings in extra innings where teams like the Dodgers had one against the Padres, like in the 12th or 13th, where they ended up getting beat by 6 runs because they just fell apart. Braves, it fell apart on Webb, and they go down by 3 in the 12th. Anybody that had stuck around in the 9th when they were down 2, because quite a few people left then, but anybody that stuck around left, or not anybody, but a lot of people left after the top of the 12th. They were down 3 runs. Those people going out to their cars, if they got in their cars and turned it on, the Braves come back in the 12th inning and win the game with a 4-run inning. 3 runs driven in by Contreras on the double. When Dansby's just blowing around. I mean, he's a great base runner, man. Dansby is. And Wash is bringing him in all the way, and Kutch out in left field bobbles it for a minute, drops it, scores a tying run, and then Adrianza flares to right, little single to right field, wins it. I mean, it was nuts, but that's one of those games where you remember, you're like we said, this was like what they'd done in the 3 previous years with Snit as manager.
Well, you just think about coming back 2 times and then giving it away with a Webb threw a ball away to the plate. Contreras couldn't pick the bunt up. It felt like another one of those tough losses that they've been taking where they can't win those extra inning games, which, I mean, I'm still torn whether I like that extra inning rule because it's providing some serious drama quick.
Yeah.
You're not sitting through 3 or 4 innings of zeros and guys trying to hit a solo shot. Every inning's exciting. So I don't like it, but I do like it. But I mean, that would have
never been possible without that run, that rule.
Kicked it all off every inning. But yeah, I mean, I just think that could have been another loss that kind of demonstrated why they're different this year.
Yeah.
And instead they come back and win it. And you're like, this is the same team. You know, it felt like them again.
How about Webb? I mean, you would have been crushed. He
Hmm.
makes he compounded the play by not covering
Yeah.
home plate, which is totally inexcusable, man. I mean, they
Mm-mm.
get another run on that, and he's still the winning pitcher.
Yeah. Nice dub.
That's a dumb rule in baseball, by the way. That should be left to the scorekeeper's discretion. You know, two to award they'll win to in a situation like that.
Yeah. I mean, you
I,
can't give it to anybody else really there.
yeah, team win. Don't give it to
No win.
anybody. Don't give it to
You gave up
anybody.
the 3 spot.
Good
Blank.
Lord. But yeah, and as good as it was for the Braves, can you imagine the Phillies? That's the kind of
It's
loss that you
crushing.
could be like, wow, how did we lose that game? So then they come back the next day,
Flat.
and they got Nola on the mound, their ace, but they're facing
4 spot.
Ynoa.
Yep.
And yeah, and it worked out great for the Braves having that game because they played like 5 hours that night and they got out of there after midnight. Players probably left at 1. And they had a night game the next day, which players
Get some
usually
sleep.
hate. They
Yeah.
usually hate that Sunday night getaway day game. If you're a visiting team or if you're a home team, you don't get that night at home and all that. But everybody loved it, and then Snit made it a show and go. So
Oh,
on
he
top
did?
of being, yeah, so they didn't even have to get there until 5 o'clock or whatever.
You'd be surprised how many managers think that one extra day of BP ground balls or whatever you do,
Right.
the best managers know when to hit the show and go button. And that was the perfect time after that one. And then you don't start till 8 o'clock the next night. You could really let your players just rest and kind of recover. But some managers will have you out there at 2
Yeah.
o'clock doing early work, and players want to kill them.
That's what Freddie said. Is they got the big boost, signing Greene, and they got a bigger boost from Snit making it a show and go.
Oh, it's a
Everybody was
party
jacked
every
up when they got their late. And it was Mother's Day, so they got to spend the whole day
Yeah.
with their wives and everybody.
Yeah. That's some
So
good feel on Snit's part.
yeah.
You see
got-
show and go up there, man. You just start celebrating when your players, because you're still going to do your work and be ready. But it's kind of like you're on your own program. You get some extra sleep. It's such a good feeling when they throw that up there at the right time.
Oh man, you could do so much more at home and sleep in and all that. Take the wife to
Yeah.
lunch.
Yeah.
So they had 79,000 for those first 2 nights, Friday, Saturday. They had another big crowd last night, not as big because it was a holiday Sunday night crowd, but it was still big. Freddie Freeman homered in both games, and we've talked so much about Freddie's worst slump of his career, really. It was 0 for 25. He broke snap the other day, and he homered in both games and was hitting the ball, driving the ball the other way. I mean, he looked a whole lot more like Freddie and looked a lot more relieved. I saw him smile more last night than I've seen him smile in 2 weeks. So all these things on top of signing Shane Greene yesterday in the afternoon, big day for the Braves. This could be that Sunday could be that weekend, a big turnaround for them. I think they're back at 500 now. They haven't been able to get through 500 once they've got there. Now they get the Blue Jays again after getting swept by the Blue Jays down in Dunedin. So it's all kind of a perfect storm here. They got a day off, looked ahead to the Blue Jays, a chance to get some payback and a chance to get a couple of games over 500.
Yeah, watching Freddie hit a ball down and in out to left center.
Yeah.
For me, that's when his swing's locked back in. He had a good his first at bat hitting that line drive over shortstop, but that homer he hit, fastball down and in, man. That's the perfect and prototypical, like Freddie Freeman swing right there. I mean, you couldn't draw it up any better for what you see when he is locked in that swing right there. So I hope he just rides that wave. And like we said, he can, whenever he busts out of it, he'll go on a tear. And I think he's just about ready.
Braves had so many left-handers and not enough right-handers to start the season in the bullpen. And then they lose their best one, Chris Martin, on the first weekend of the year. He's been out for over a month now.
Yeah.
He's close to returning now. He's had 2 rehab appearances at Gwinnett. He could even be activated for tomorrow's game. They were still talking about that yesterday. They haven't announced anything yet today. But they optioned a couple of right-handers today with Victor Arenado and Chacil de la Cruz. They optioned both of them down. So that tells me that maybe they're bringing up Chris Martin. They activated Camargo or recalled him from AAA. He's been raking down there, by the way. So is Orlando Arcia, the guy they got from the Brewers. He had 3 homers, 3 solo shots in one game. First guy to do that. First guy to hit 3 homers since Austin Riley did it down there. But It tells me that either Chris Martin's being activated or they're bringing up somebody to start that game Tuesday. They haven't announced a starter for Tuesday for the series opener against the Jays because they pushed Freed back to Wednesday and Charlie to Thursday. And everybody's like, why is Freed hurt? Why give him an extra day? They're not going to say why, but I think it was so Smiley doesn't have to face Blue Jays again. That was a disaster. And he came back with a really good start in that next game with Mathis catching him last week. And I think they want him to build off that and not face the Blue Jays. That whether he was tipping or they just haven't figured out or there's just terrible matchups. But that was a horrible game he pitched against the Jays. And I think they wanted to avoid that.
But that's one of the hardest things as a starting pitcher is seeing a team so close together. You know, I mean, it's hard pitching in your division. You play call it the Phillies or somebody 5 times in the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And you wind up starting in all those series. You know, you see it get more and more difficult for the starting pitchers. So if Smiley had a really bad start against them and he just had one to build on, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with kind of sheltering him from that a little bit.
And that's a hell of a right-handed lineup they have too.
Yeah.
The Jays.
Yeah.
So signing Shane Greene, we've talked about this. I mean, obviously, when they ended up signing him for 1 year, 1.5 million, and it's prorated, so he ends up getting about 1.1, 1.2, depending on when he comes up. I think it'll be soon. He's going to come up as soon as he shows at AAA that he's ready. I mean, if he looks good in his first couple of appearances, he'll be here. You know, maybe if he looks good in his first appearance, he'll be here. But
yeah.
The fact that he signed for that, I laughed because on Twitter, the immediate result, you know, the people that question everything Alex does or everything the Braves do, the immediate reaction from some was, this is a rounding error. Why couldn't they have just signed him for that? Like,
he wouldn't have taken it.
Exactly. You're looking at it from the wrong perspective. You're looking at it as the Braves finally caved and gave him what he wanted. No,
they didn't. He finally caved.
He finally caved and said, I'm not sitting out a year.
Yeah.
Because if that was his asking price, there'd have been 20 teams lined up to sign him for 1.5 million.
He would have signed day one of the offseason. If he just posted that online, said, I'll sign for 1.5, he would have had 30 physicals the next day.
Because even at the going rate, because all the relievers were signing for a lot less just about than what we thought, and all taking 1 year deals. Even at that market, he would have still got more than 1.5 million.
I'm sure, you know, I mean, he's probably kicking himself, but I'm guessing, you know, what'd he do? He had a 2.26 last year.
Yeah, and he had like 24 appearances in a 60-game season. He was solid. And then in the playoffs, he had 4 more.
Really and the year strong. Before, he had 65 games with a 2.3. Yep. First shot of free agency, he's going to be 32. You're thinking you're getting at least a 2-year deal. You know, maybe 2 years, 10. Maybe
I'm thinking he asked 3 and probably about 20 million. That's just my guessing, my speculating. Yep. But I'm thinking it was outrageous because you never even heard teams involved in like trying to get it down a little bit to something, you know, because it had to have been, he had to have asked for a ton and his agents just said, no, we're not going to, because there were no teams linked. There was the Twins and the Braves were interested, but it was never serious.
Oh, I tell you what, he wasn't asking 1 year, 3. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what he would have been signed right away for that.
I think he would have been signed for 1 year of even, 5, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody would have got that early on. At the end, the guys were signing for so little because it was just so late. But anyway, they got him, and they got him, barely just over 1/5 of the way in the season. So, closing on 1/4 now. But that's pretty good. You didn't have to wait. People were going, how are they going to improve this team? Because unless you signed him, it didn't look like you were going to be able to trade for anybody until at least another month before teams wave a white flag and make good relievers available. And
if they gave him 4 times that too, if they gave him 1 year, 5, it's still
would have been a great contract.
Yeah. I wouldn't have had any problem with that from a GM standpoint. So getting him for 1.5, I mean, it's almost for free.
And contract year again. I mean, know he's going to be, not that he wasn't motivated before, but now he's really got to show. He's got to look at what he got on the offers he got last year. It's going to be a year older. He's got to be motivated to make this 4/5 of 3/4 of a season as really strong.
Well, he just spent 6 months getting told how lucky he was or what his flaws were, why this team's out on him, what they don't like about him. That happened to me the first time I went to arbitration. I heard I couldn't get righties out, and the next year I had my best season ever because it puts a chip on your shoulder. So, I mean, you got a motivated guy going out there playing for probably a quarter or a tenth of what he thinks he's worth.
Yeah.
That's a good scenario for the team.
And, you also, if you're him, and it was 28 appearances last year, by the way, not 24. So he pitched in almost half their games. you know?
Yeah. And he dealt. He was good.
It was good, man. He had a 2.60 ERA, a 1.120 WHIP. Then he had a 1.93 ERA and a 0.857 WHIP in his 4 postseason appearances. So, and this is a guy. Remember, he made $6.25 million last year.
Yeah,
$4 million a year before when he was an all-star closer with Detroit before they traded him. So if you're him, you're looking at a contract like Will Smith's 3-year, $40 million.
yeah.
And you're going, okay,
Maybe that's me.
exactly, man.
The game's just really changed in the risk that teams want to take with aging baseball players, and it's hard to grasp when you're like, I haven't struggled at all yet. You know, I mean, he's on a roll right now. He's had a few good years in a row, and he's not old. He's 31, 32, but
this was his first chance to get a big contract, he thought.
Yeah. I mean, he probably thought maybe 4 years, maybe I get this deal that takes me through the end of my career. And all of a sudden now you're signing for 1.5, you know, I mean, it's hard to predict this market.
And like you said, the game's changing with the younger. They want to go younger and younger with the arms, especially. But it was a perfect shitstorm because for a free agent reliever to hit the market because of the revenues last year, you can't just ignore that. Teams like the Braves are $25 million below last year's budget. All of a sudden, they couldn't even sign O'Day, and Melanson signs with the Padres for $3 million guaranteed, or $3 million guaranteed, $2 million this year. You tell me the Braves, I mean, before with $150 million payroll, they could have at least offered Melanson $6-7 million, you know?
Yep. And Greene's the exact guy we were saying was going to get hurt. It's not the superstars. The superstars are going to get the contracts. They're going to get paid. It's the guys that are just
non-closers.
He's not a journeyman, but the guys that have been around the game a long time, but they're not gonna take you over the top. He's an important piece, and those are the guys that were going to get screwed, and they did.
I guarantee you, I know one guy was happy he signed a 2-year deal the year before. Chris Martin.
Yeah.
He got 2 years, 14, I think it was. Imagine he wouldn't have got anywhere, nothing like that as good as he was.
Well, you gotta wonder what Greene's agent was thinking too. You know, if he saw that landscape, if he saw it playing out this way, or still thought, you know, I mean, I think if you're him in his shoes, you're thinking worst case scenario, I get 2 years, 10. Somebody's going to give me 2 years, 10, and there's no telling if even that ever came on the table, or if he turned that down early and then teams moved on. But
yeah, Martin was 2 years, 14.
Yeah.
So you got to think. I mean, it's only natural that a guy like Greene is going to look at his teammates. He's going to look at Martin's 2-year, $14 million deal. He's going to look at Will Smith's 3-year, $40 million deal. He's going to look at his age. He's going to look at his durability. And he's going to say, well, I'm somewhere between those, I would think, is me.
Yep.
And look what he ends up getting. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. But like you said, late in spring training, at some point, you got to suck it up and go, look, I'm not going to get what I thought I was going to get. I got to sign with somebody and reestablish my value, because it's not going to pay. You're not doing yourself any favor by being stubborn. You're not Craig Kimbrell, who's going to sign with that have teams falling all over themselves to sign you in June, or Dallas Keuchel, who had the Braves want a bidding war for him at the round in June. You're not like that.
Well, and at some point you just tell your agent, like, look, man, I got to pitch, or if I don't pitch this year, I'm not getting anything next year. You know, I mean, that's tough for him, man. I'm wondering what he turned down and what was available to him at even.
I hope it comes out, but I hope we find out. I don't know if we will. I think the place we could find out is another one of the teams that was interested in him that has nothing to lose by saying, look, he was at, with that, because it's obviously not going to come from his agent.
No, he's not going to say we turned down 2 years, 12 and late December.
And the Braves are too classy. They're guys even off the record to say what he was asking for. They're just not what they're like. So it'll be interesting though.
The one thing, it was more than 1.5 for sure.
Yeah. So people should relax. And I saw from somebody who knows a lot about finances, who should have known better than to say, to make it sound like the Braves could have got this guy for that. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
we could have had him in April. He was sitting there in April. He was watching the team struggle in April, thinking he was finally going to get what he wanted. You know,
I'm with you though. I think he looked at it and said, because can you imagine coming off a year if you didn't pitch at all, and then last year was only 60 game season, and you're 33 next year, you've only made 28 appearances in 2 years. Yeah.
Yep. Now you're signing a minor league deal. I felt like that my first year going into free agency. I had my first bad season, and I thought, you know what, someone's going to give me a major league deal. I waited, man. I threw a showcase. Nobody cared. I did all this stuff I was supposed to do, and it was minor league deal from day one. And probably 5 years prior to that, if you'd had one bad year, somebody would take a chance and give you that major league deal. But
Yeah.
I wound up having to sign a minor league deal with the Pirates in early February. I mean, it kind of shocked me, but the free agency is just not what it used to be, and that's why they're trying to change it.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of players have said, yeah, I was so looking forward to becoming a free agent. Years ago, they looked ahead to it. Now that they've done it, they're like, I don't ever want to do it again. It's horrible now.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hear from my agent for a month. So I just sent him a text like, what's going on? He'd just be like, crickets, buddy. Nobody's even called. You got nothing.
And then the Braves came in spring training after you made that one really good appearance against them in the spring.
One good one.
So yeah, Freddie said about I asked Freddie last night after the game about Greene resigning. He said, it's big. Just a veteran guy that's been there and done it before. He's been with us the last couple of years. We love him in the clubhouse. Good guy. You can give him the ball every day. He wants the ball every day. He'll give you some quality outs. So we're looking forward to getting him in there as quick as we can. And Snit said he was really looking forward to getting him. He said one of those guys that wants the ball every day. And he offered last year when they were having all the starting pitching woes, Greene went into Freddie's office and goes, if you need somebody to start, I'll do it. So he's the kind of guy that'll do any role. He's been an all-star
done
closer.
It too.
Yeah. Freddie loves the guys like that. And our Snit loves those guys like that. Snit also made a good point yesterday. He was talking about, somebody asked about Tomlin, how big that was for Tomlin Friday night to eat those 4 1/3 innings, one-run ball. And Snit was raving about him that night. Said it was unbelievable what he's done. He saved our asses so many times. But then somebody asked again yesterday, he goes, let's talk about this guy again. I want to point something out. Saturday night, when Acuna got hit, they needed a pinch runner. And they'd already used somebody. So they called down to the bullpen. Before they could even hang up the phone, Tomlin is running, and he pitched 4 1/3 the night before. Yep. He's running out the bullpen door, full uniform, cleats on. Snit said, you don't know how many guys would have been out there after pitching 4 1/3 the night before. They know they're not going to pitch. They'd have been out there in a hoodie, pullover, tennis shoes, turf shoes, but not he comes running out in his cleats.
Yep.
He said he came in, grabbed a batting helmet, and he was at first base. They didn't even have to delay the game. It was almost like they got a pinch runner off the bench.
Yeah.
But that's the guy. Another example. He's another example of why everybody's wondering what they're so obsessed with Tomlin. But that's just another example. This is the ultimate team guy, man.
Yeah, and just having no ego and being willing to go out there. And if he gave up a 7 spot, he still would have gone 4 innings. He's totally cool being the wear it guy. He's got a ton of time in the game and just wants to help the team any way he can. I mean, it's impossible to explain what that does for the bullpen too, to know when your starter gives up 6 in the first, that you don't have to start stretching. We got a wear it guy, and you could pretty much count on him to get through 3-4 innings, and you don't have to stress. And it saved all the guys to pitch those important innings the next 2 days that could have been down or beat up.
And Snit said, and you know what? If I'd have called down there and asked him to pitch an inning the next day, he would have been out there. He would have been out there warming up, ready to go. He wouldn't have said a word other than let's go.
Yep.
So, another guy that they could get back soon, because this bullpen could go from being pretty bad or the highest ERA, one of the highest ERAs, to pretty solid in a hurry. If they get Greene soon, Chris Martin comes back, and Sean Newcomb, man, people forget how well he was pitching before he went on the IL with the COVID IL for a couple of weeks. Came back and got roughed up 2 outings, got sent down to kind of get back to form he was in. Well, he's had 2 outings down there. He struck out 5 of the 6 batters he's faced in 2 innings. So you had those 3 guys to what you got now, could be a lot better in a hurry with that depth that'll allow you to move the guys, the Luke Jacksons and others, into the roles that they're more perfectly suited for.
And Jackson's throwing the ball well.
Yeah.
He's really dealing. I know fans hate him and love when he comes in to just think he's going to fail, but he's been pretty damn good this year. You're getting pretty close. Yeah. If you get all these guys back, you're getting pretty close to the pen you had last year.
You're being solid. You don't have the equivalent maybe of Melanson, but you don't have that. But you got the other stuff, And if Will Smith, so far, he's converted every save opportunity. I mean, He's been pretty damn good. So we'll see. What was it? Oh, yeah, you got Nuke doing what he's doing down there, and the other thing I was going to ask you about Oh, and Acuna, by the way, came back. If anybody that missed it was worried that night because he gave everybody a scare. When he left the game,
Yeah.
it was like, well, if he's got a broken finger, he could be out months, at least weeks. And but he was back the next day. It was all, as Snit pointed out that night, it was probably a case where his pinky got pinched because if you saw the replay, it looked like the ball hit the end of the bat and his finger at the same time.
Yeah.
And that can end up hurting as much as a broken bone for that first few minutes afterwards if it pinches it on that knob.
Well, you're scared too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're scared that it's broken and you can't tell the difference in that pain, but what a what a breath of fresh air it was when he was okay. Because when you think about this team losing him, you know, Freddie was still strong. Freddie hadn't gotten those next 2 games in at that point. You're like, I don't want to envision this team right now without Acuna so far this year or Ynoa doing what they've done.
I mean, they've stayed at 500 with Freddie doing almost nothing the first half, you know, by Freddie's standards. It's funny because last night he hit a home run and I said to Bowman, I said, it's funny how a guy could be having a bad season for him and have 9 homers already, you know? I mean, his OPS is pretty solid still, but that's the standards that Freddie has set, you know? We expect him to hit about 300, 290 at least.
You see 197 because that's what he went into that game with, and you're like, man, who is that? That doesn't look like Freddie.
But he's still been pretty productive. But anyway, they've done what they've done with him having a really bad year. They would not be doing what they've done with Acuna having a bad year. He's just so important at the top of the lineup. It's just what he does. I asked Freddie about, you know, back-to-back homer games, 3 hits. He said, I feel good. I even felt good on Friday. And I had 2 balls to the left side. I lined out to left, and my last at bat was 105 to Bohm, third baseman. He had 105 mile an hour on his last at bat, so I was feeling good. He said I felt good at the beginning of the year. I just didn't get any hits, and then I wasn't feeling good, and then hopefully I'm starting to feel good again. I just felt like there was one big glove out there. He said on defense. He said so maybe that'll reduce to 8 small gloves now, and so hopefully I'll get some holes. But I feel good. So hopefully I can continue going on Tuesday. For Freddie to be joking again, he's like he's getting back to being Freddie now. So just two more things real now. I think Ynoa right now, man, if you look for this now, he's got 7 starts. And you look at his ERA down 2.2s. And never mind the hitting, which is ridiculous. He's putting together an all-star resume, man. I mean, he's 4-1 with a 2.23 ERA. That right now, you'd have to say him and Acuna are the all-stars on this team.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to stop him is hype. You know, not being well known and doing what he's doing. You know, he's going to be one of those guys that they're going to have to put the banners up, vote Ynoa, you know, all that type of stuff. But that's really the only thing that's going to stop him from making the all-star team is being unknown.
But you know what's helped? The hitting. Everybody knows him because of the grand slam and the home runs. So otherwise, if he was just doing what he's doing as a pitcher and hitting like a typical pitcher, nobody would know what he's doing hardly. Yeah. But everybody knows because of what he's doing hitting, or at least they're paying attention to the hitting. So
doing it on Sunday Night Baseball should help too. I mean, he's legit, man. I mean, it's not fluky. He's not giving up lasers and they're getting caught. He's punching out tough hitters in big situations, and he's pitching like an ace.
And he's 6 for 15 as a hitter, by the way. He had another hit last night. The home run streak ended at 2 games, but he's got a 4-game hitting streak going. He's 6 for 15 with 6 RBIs. And a 1267 OPS.
I don't even know what to say about it.
And then the other thing was Sandoval. It's impossible to overstate how big he's been and what he's done as a pinch hitter. He's been the best pinch hitter in baseball by far. And think about this. All 4 of his home runs have been with a runner, at least one runner on base. All 4 of them either gave the Braves a lead or tied the game. That's crazy. And it's the middle of May.
Well, that's what's insane about it is he hasn't – you have a guy that's doing really well pinch hitting, and he comes in a 9-0 game and faces other teams' worst reliever, hits a double in the gap, and he could put up some numbers similar, probably not the home runs like Sandoval regardless, but every single one of those home runs has either helped them win a game or gotten them back in it.
It's crazy. Extra innings or 9th inning or, you know, the opening day was like the only runs. I mean, it's just insane that he did it again the other day in that spot. It's like when everybody's going, can he do it again? Can he do it again? And he did it again.
No doubter too.
And that's what this guy's done. He's done some things in his career that, you know, that are, you just don't, special people do. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's had a hell of a – he's done things that only Hall of Famers do. 3 home run game in the World Series. You know, been on 3 World Series champion, was a World Series MVP, won a batting title, right? Yeah, he won a batting title. I mean,
and you got to think that, you know, that he's not feeling that pressure in those big situations. You know, like another guy might be, or a young guy coming up and trying to do too much. He's seen it all. So, you know, a big at bat in May is not going to overwhelm him.
Man, the Boston people have to be looking, going, where the hell was that when we signed him to that big contract? He went up there and he just wasn't comfortable or whatever up there. But man, on this team, from day one, he has been fit like a glove. And that's why he wanted to come back here. He was smart. He told his agent, I want to go back there. He took the minor league deal, came back, had that much confidence in himself, hit 400 with a 910 OPS in spring training, forced his way onto the roster. And even then, when everybody was talking about how the Braves have no power on the bench, I was one of them, Snit kind of acknowledged that and said, you know, he's not going to hit a home run, baby, but he's going to give you that. He's going to give you that professional at bat, and he's got some pop from the left side. So we think he's better off than some of the, you know, the options that they had. You know, they had some former big league, you know, some recent all-stars and all that didn't make the team, got cut. And they went with him, and he didn't hit a home run in spring training. And he's hit 4 already. And like we've already said, every one of them's been huge. So here's a stat that just is insane on top of the other ones. With runners on base and 2 outs this year, he is 6 for 9 with 4 homers and a 26.67 OPS. The highest OPS of any player in the majors with more than 1 at bat in those situations.
You know, I was thinking about it too, as he's pinch hitting in front of Acuna a lot.
Yes.
You know, in that pitcher spot, that's pretty helpful to have a leadoff guy that is more scary than any pinch hitter, even a power pinch hitter. You know, the one thing you don't want to do is face Acuna. You know, you got runners on and 2 outs. That's your guy you got to challenge. So it's a good spot for him.
You got Acuna and Freeman coming up.
Yeah.
His 4 pinch hit homers, by the way, have all been against NL East teams. He's got more pinch hit homers than any team except the Giants and the Braves, obviously, who both have 5, because Adrian's also hit 1 for the Braves, if I'm not mistaken. But the Giants, his former team, has 5 as well. But nobody else has more than 2 pinch hit homers as a team, and he's got 4. Yeah. He has twice as many pinch hit homers as any other individual in the majors. And he's already tied the Atlanta era Braves since they moved here in 66. He's already tied the franchise record for single season 4 pinch hit homers.
I'd take the over on him getting that. I mean,
3 other guys did it. Tommy Gregg, 1990. Evan Gaddis, our boy.
The white
we need to get Gadd on here. We need to get Gadd on here to talk about him.
He might be gone. He might be tough to get a hold of.
He might not even know who he is. Gadd knows his history.
He'd be on here.
He knows his history. He's probably proud that Sandoval's tied him. And the other guy, Camargo, he did it in 2019, but it's just stretched over a whole year. So you kind of forget that it was, and Snick said, I'm amazed at what he's done already. I mean, the multi-run homers and just the at-bats that this guy puts up. I don't know that I've ever been on a team and seen somebody do that before. So it's been around a while.
I haven't. I mean, he's got a shot at setting the all-time record for pinch hit homers this year.
Yeah, it's like 7 with the all-time. Yeah.
Shit, he might do that by the All-Star break.
I liked Ynoa's quote about him too, and the impact. I asked Ynoa the impact he's had on the team, just period. He said he's had a true impact on the team. You can see it every time he goes out to play. He's extremely focused. He's a very competitive person. So I think that's all something that we take away from him, just the way he prepares and the way he gives maximum effort every time he goes out to play. I love hearing these stories about him because the contradiction. He's on one hand the funniest, most playful guy on the team. I mean, this guy's got an incredible personality. He's hilarious. He really is. And he's this fat guy that looks like the last guy in the world. That's an athlete, and he's got the chunky face now as he gets older. He's got the belly. You know, he kind of walks up to the plate like, what's this guy gonna do?
Tank.
But at the same time, they say he puts in more preparation than almost anybody on the team as far as getting ready for his at bats, knowing every pitcher that he might be facing, when he might be coming in the game. So it's kind of cool that he's totally adapted to this role that he's in now, you know. And the other stuff doesn't matter, like getting in a weight room and pumping it. He's ready for his at bats. and he's so far along in his career. He's just a hitter. That's what he does. He's a hitter. But they can also feel comfortable putting him out and playing third if they need to, because he did that last year a couple of times in the playoffs, and he can still dive and make some plays.
He's graceful. He can move, and I think that's one of the things. I think that's probably what he struggled with in Boston, was never getting comfortable there. And as soon as he struggled, it was, it's his weight. His weight's the problem. He's like, I've been built like this since I was 18.
And didn't he lose weight there?
I think so. And then he struggled more. A lot of times, if you diet poorly to lose weight, you just get all your sugar out of you. You don't have any power. But that's just, that goes to him being comfortable and wanting to be here and having fun and being with a group he likes, that supports him.
Yeah. I mean, God, you had talk about the perfect guy on this team with Ozuna and then the kids. I mean, with Acuna and Ozzy Albies and all the guys, Dansby, they love it, man. All these Freddie, they love this guy. So he's a perfect guy to add to this clubhouse. So, but nobody could have ever expected him to do even half of what he's done as a pinch hitter.
And if he doesn't get another pinch hit home run all season, it's a great pinch hitting year already.
But he certainly shows no signs of letting up. So it's going to be interesting to watch that. Every time he comes up now, it's must watch. You see him, when you think there's a pinch hit at bat, when the pitcher might be coming out of the game, you're like, oh, they might be bringing in Sandoval to pinch hit. It's like an Acuna at bat now. It's like you don't want to miss it.
That too. If that's the last guy I'd want to face off the bench. A guy with his experience and power and knows what he's doing and can have a good quality at bat, and he might hurt you,
But it's like you said, if he didn't have Acuna coming up behind him, a lot of teams would probably be walking him at this point. But you're not going to walk Sandoval, not yet at least, to bring up Acuna, the Major League, National League home run leader.
There's nobody you could put in front of Acuna that you're going to choose Acuna over, taking him on. So, I mean, it's a good spot for him.
Great spot for him to set the record. He's in a great team to set the record. Little did he know. Yeah. Or maybe he did know. Maybe he did know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk again on Thursday or Friday after the Braves play the Blue Jays a couple of times. Big series coming up. They got a chance to get to put some games between them and 500 and maybe catch first place again. So things are looking up for sure. I know they looked pretty shitty a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. 3 days ago, 4 days ago.
Just don't ride the roller coaster.
Yeah, this team has been a roller coaster, but ultimately they're right about where somebody pointed out last year. I think that they were 17 and 19 to start last year.
Yeah, forget all about it once you start rolling.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk later. 7:55 is real. We're out. Cam, did we miss a second ad read?